Men who think of themselves as nice guys will punish you for shattering their infallible self-image when you ask them to take accountability. Because asking them to take accountability requires them to admit that they are capable of harming you, capable of creating hurt. And that is against their like personal self man manifesto of, I'm the nice guy. And he thinks because it wasn't his active intention to create whatever situation has left you needing some kind of subtle acknowledgement. It doesn't even need to be a big thing, but any ask of them they perceive as an attack. And that's more dangerous. That's much more dangerous. And that is why I do think that is part of why a lot of women like really go away from that sort of image of like super, I don't know, there's sort of like a spirit that enters the soul of that kind of man that you can tell is actually a little bit fake and a little bit like get outism of like, okay, you're performing in a way that once somebody has to poke your bubble, you freak out. Like, you're not comfortable here in the space of real feelings and like, we don't have a script for this. You know what I mean? And they don't feel safe in that space of, I feel like nice guys are actually really controlling. And I need somebody to expand on that in a way where, because I actually am not, this is just coming to me now. Like, every time I've interacted with a guy who I can tell, even if he doesn't say like, oh, I'm a nice guy, sometimes you can tell that they like self-identify as nice guys, whereas other guys just don't even think of categories. Whenever I've dated a guy who, or been out with a guy or known a guy who gives that like, I'm a nice guy energy, like I've been done dirty and I carry deep pain from being mistreated, like why are they so controlling? And like, you're not allowed to have a feeling. You know what I mean? It's like coming from a place of low-key self-pity and then self-righteousness. Self-righteousness. That's there. I think that's where I've landed. If you're such a nice guy, you should be able to hear people have a different reality than you and like not try to control it and micromanage it to go back into the narrative of you being a nice guy. And they really do micromanage their like image, and when your script doesn't fall in line with that, chaos. Anyway, controlled chaos, nice guy chaos, condescending, like jargonized chaos. You understand what I'm saying? Weaponized therapy speak is their Bible. Sometimes a situationship rocks your shit so hard that you accidentally self-actualize yourself out of the dark night of the soul that you've been pushed into because of this person, or like not because of this person, but after this person, because everybody really is a mirror. But it's crazy to me how like somebody that you knew for like a short amount of time can make more change to the way you let yourself be treated and the way you treat yourself. When are you self-abandoning so that you can please other people, and what is too much and where is that boundary? That can like actually come up a lot more in a quick situationship because it's so destabilizing than if you saw somebody for like a year. As a Pisces, my emotions demand to be felt. They don't actually ask me for permission. So when I am really destabilized by a situation, I have to process it very quickly. Like I can't bury it under the rug. There is no rug. I don't have a rug. That's what this is about, is like it's coming up immediately. But guess what? I then am forced and required to look at my shit and look at my dark side and look at all of my shadows right then and there and deal with them, or I cannot move on. I'm such a ruminator. I also like do have mild OCD. And I am gonna make a video about like how growing up Catholic as like a girl with OCD is like literally it's a recipe for disaster. Anyways, so you torture yourself with these thoughts. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, I will keep stuck in that thought loop until I sift through it and figure out. I'm very into meaning making, and I think sometimes meaning making can be so exhausting because not everything has meaning. But when you feel genuinely like baited and switched, or you felt like you were safe somewhere and then that person set it on fire quickly in the middle of the night, you have to really look at yourself like, okay, so where am I stupid here? Because you're always going to think there's somewhere here, something happened in this interaction where I must be stupid because I believed the words that were said or something like that, right? And then Where I'm coming to is just, I clearly don't trust myself enough to trust that what I felt when I felt disrespected, or I felt that I deserve to be human in this way, in this moment, and this person didn't allow me to, and that I deserve better, and I can't wait for them to validate that, because they're not gonna. They are not going to. I've had situationships, and there's been like little to no issue. It was what it was, whatever. Do I feel like I learned something from that? Not like really. Not about myself super particularly, the way I can name about what I went through after certain like situationships or like short spurts of dating. And it's actually crazy to me how much you can feel like you learned from such a short interaction about yourself. Do you know what I mean? And it can really revolutionize the way you see your relationships with other people, because it's harder to notice change like when it takes a long time versus I think sometimes when one thing like shakes you up or really throws you for a loop, like what was that? No, but what was that? When you know somebody for a long period of time, of course there's opportunity for a lot of growth there, obviously. But I think certain like short moments of a person who comes into your life like hot and heavy, destabilizes you, and then dips out and leaves you to sit with yourself and reflect on what the fuck just happened. It's a boot camp. It's almost like a self-reflection boot camp. Like you are forced to do some really heavy duty shadow work right then and there, or you cannot move on. But then you did that. So hopefully, knock on wood, next time you'll be better at it, or just less affected, less ruminating, less just trying to make sense of it, because hopefully you've already made the sense of that sort of feeling. If you telling your truth makes someone feel attacked, you are not allowed to advocate for yourself, and that is dangerous. Period. And it's like the amount of rumination you can do about that short loop is infinite, but it comes down to, if you're being honest saying, this made me feel like this, and I felt disrespected or disregarded in this way, and they can't hear you out or level with you, and they're not even curious in your reality about that, unfortunately, these people like just don't care about you. And it's something that I'm really grappling with, because they can have acted like they've cared about you or whatever, but like people will look your vulnerability in the face that they pretended that they asked for, and they will drop it on the ground and say, why are you giving, that's too heavy, why are you giving this to me? And also, that's not my problem. And also, this is not the script. And why are you bringing up these things that require me to look at myself as somebody who isn't just like a dandy fairy who can never do any wrong? Like, we didn't agree upon this. And when they get really offended, realize that you are now having to vie for your humanity and vie for your ability to advocate for yourself when theirs is compulsory. Their ability to advocate for their self is something that you are it's absolutely mandatory that you swallow that without any sort of rebuttal or your side of the story. Because we're in a fucking fairy tale book with one perspective, right? And it's like, you really do, it feels ridiculous. You feel like you're going insane, but you do have to really stand up for yourself and go, no, because if I can't say what I'm honestly thinking and all I can do is listen to you and nod my head, because I get punished for my honesty and calling a spade and calling what it is. Like, I've been journaling so much, which is good, because journaling is evidence. Somebody on here said journaling is like crashing out with evidence. I forget who it was, but that's really smart, because it's true. But the thing is, like, if I cannot be so honest about how I'm feeling, and somebody can't at least be like, I hear you, and I am open-minded to understanding why you feel that way. The closed-mindedness is like such an elementary, like, thing to have to deal with. And so the flip side of that is to, as me, not internalize why they're doing that. That's the hard thing that I'm still working on. Not internalize why people can't handle you speaking up for your humanity and your side of the story, when really what you're asking for is pretty neutral. And if you think I'm over-exaggerating, well, I've asked a million different sources, including my therapist. So she doesn't think I'm over-exaggerating. She thinks I'm always right. Just kidding. She doesn't say it like that, But lately, I haven't been wrong. So you should be able to say how you're feeling and your side of the story without punishment and without distance from the other party, especially if you've been open-minded to their side of the story and they have been seeming like theirs is Bible and yours is fan fiction, and that's obvious. And so why are we looking at this fan fiction with studious eyes? They won't give you an equal opportunity to explain, but then the flip side of that is to not try. Isn't that stupid? Isn't that nuts and insane that now me, the over-explainer, over-articulator, has to learn to stop explaining when somebody seems like they're not getting it? My instinct is obviously to, but you have to disengage, and it's fucked. It's a trick. It's a cruel joke from life. Because what life does is they present to you a challenge. I challenge you with a person who said that they care about your well-being very deeply and who wants to posture themselves as a considerate person, but they're shutting you out and you can feel that. Dance. And you can see that they have no interest in your reality or your side of the story. Figure it out. See if you can make them, and see how you feel after trying. That's what the universe does to you. And you will pull out all the stops to try and make this person understand you. And the more you try, the worse it gets, the meaner they get, the crueler they get, the deeper in the quicksand of, oh, you actually don't give a fuck about me, do you? You are. And you're like, huh, that was fun. That was fun trying to over-explain myself to someone who said that they tried to understand me or cared, and that must have, so words don't mean things, huh? And then you go into, am I an idiot? Should I have known this? What did I miss? What signs did I miss? And so you can't do that either. Did you know? You're supposed to not over ruminate on that and not blame yourself for that. Because as soon as they showed you the different thing, that's when you started to try to level with them. And because you care about them, you're going to try to level with them. But when people are not trying to level with you, you continuing to try to level with them, you're actually letting yourself get stomped on, and you start to abandon yourself. These people require you to abandon yourself for them to be comfortable, because they won't give you an inch, and they think that they're just so self-righteous that they're doing everything right. And they are postured exactly where they want to be, and they don't want to move an inch for anyone. And you're supposed to climb around them, parkour jungle gym. And at a certain point, you need to be like, this is ridiculous. I'm hanging off the crust of an earlobe that used to be here. Like, I can't keep doing this, when you were just standing there